Hey, everybody, here's another thrilling review over the Texas legislature. We're going to be talking about the membership. We're going to be talking about elections, qualifications, how are representatives allocated in the state of Texas for representation. So put on your seatbelt, look at your notes, and make sure that you have all of this information as you begin to review for the exam. So let's begin by looking at when these folks are elected and when are their elections. So let's start with the members of the House of Representatives. They are elected for 2-year terms. And every 2 years, all of them are up for election or re-election. That is an incredibly important concept that all 150 have to stand for election every 2 years. That's accountability, folks. They're accountable to you and me every 2 years. And those elections are always held on the same day as any national elections. And remember, look at your notes. They're held in November on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in even numbered years. Make sure you have that in your notes. Now, the Senate is different. The Senate has 4-year terms. They get to stay in office and not be so frazzled about raising money and going up for reelection. Now, they serve what are called staggered terms. That means that in one election cycle, half of them are finishing their 4-year terms and have to try to be reelected, while the other half is waiting for the next election. So there's always 15 senators who are always in office at all times. So let's look at the qualifications to be a member of the Texas legislature. First, let's look at the members of the House of Representatives. Pay attention to that word after the slash, legislator. They are also called a legislator, representative / legislator. They must be a minimum of 25 years of age. That's rather rare today due to the need to have independent business, the need to have some experience. So it's rare. It can happen. They must have been a citizen for at least 2 years. Please note in your notes that they do not have to be a native-born American citizen. And then last, they must have lived in their district that they will represent for 1 year. The senator is almost the same, except for the senator is expected to be a minimum of 30 years of age, a little bit more experience, a little bit more gray hair maybe. They're expected to have been a citizen for at least 5 years, and they must live in their senatorial district for at least 1 year. The members of the Texas legislature serve in what are called districts. So let's look at the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives serves in what is called a single member district, one representative to a smaller area of geography. This is meant to keep them closer to their people, make them more accountable to the people that they serve. And if you'll look at the diagram on the right, the top picture, you'll see 1 through, 8. And the area was broken up into smaller districts. This looked like it could be kind of an urban and then a suburban area. So that's what a single member district looks like for the House of Representatives. The Senate serves in what we call at-large districts. That is where the legislature takes and combines several House districts into much larger senatorial districts. The senators serve a greater range of constituencies, both in the makeup of their constituencies and in the geography. The voters, they have to represent more voters, so there really is kind of a less of an accountability for the senators. They're sometimes less known than the member of the House that serves in that much smaller single member district. Now, these districts are not stagnant. They do not remain permanent forever. Every 10 years, these districts are reapportioned. Get that word, reapportionment. That means to re-divide. So every 10 years, these districts are shuffled around, kind of like you shuffle dominoes or checkers or whatever. They're shuffled. And this is done through the instrument of the census. The census required by the Constitution is taken every 10 years, and it counts the total population of the United States. And then from that number, the population of the state of Texas then has to be reapportioned among the 150 members of the Texas legislature who will serve in single member districts. And the 31 senators, their districts, their at large districts, have to be reapportioned at the same time. Now, this reapportionment, can lead to something very interesting called gerrymandering. And I think I covered it very well in class. So this is just going to be a quick review. Remember that the district lines are drawn by the state legislature. So the members of the state legislature are rather assigning themselves their own districts. This is a very political process. For example, right now, the Republican Party controls the Texas House and the Texas Senate. So it makes sense that the party in power wants to keep power and even add more districts to their continuing majority. So it is a political act. Gerrymandering is manipulation. Gerrymandering is where these district lines are drawn to favor one party over another, as we talked about, to divide or break up a racial or economic neighborhoods, break up African American neighborhoods, break up Hispanic neighborhoods, break up incredibly poor neighborhoods, and keep those folks from having an effect on the race. Break them up so they cannot vote as a block. And that's a BLOC. A block is a group of people who vote together for a one purpose. Gerrymandering can also be done to protect a long-term standing member of either party, someone who is seen as being invaluable to the Texas government. And that has happened, and I'm sure it still does. Someone who's put in long service, has been cooperative, and is considered beloved by their people. This has become, in 2017 and 2018, a major issue in the United States Supreme Court, and hopefully we will have talked about that by the time we get to this topic.